Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to my guest. Today we have Phyllis Calvey with us. Phyllis is an author, and she has written The Butterfly Club. Is that you? And did you design the cover?
We did. It was my husband's idea, and I thought it was exactly how I wanted to introduce people to the book.
Yeah.
Because the story I heard of a mysterious man going in a line of a wake, and he had a butterfly pin on his lapel.
Yeah.
And he said the words, "Welcome to the Butterfly Club." And it so intrigued me. I was wondering, when someone told me about the story, what does the pin look like? Is there a butterfly club? Who belongs? How do you belong to this club?
Sure.
So when we were thinking of what cover would entice people, I thought, well, if it interested me that much, that's really what the book is about.
Sure.
The Butterfly Club, and who is it?
Well, I love the back of this. Ken God talked to us. Inspired by numerous instances of grieving people who were visited by a butterfly and understood it to be God communicating his presence in their time of need, this collection of true life stories holds out hope and comfort in the darkest hours of your life. Is this your first book?
No, this is my fourth book, and I have 6 workbooks.
What were the other books?
The first book was The House of the Lord, Stories from the Family Room.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, The Journey Home, Keepers of the Journey Home, How to Be Church. Mm-hmm. And the third one is Keepers of the Light, which is a book using analogies of lighthouses.
Yeah. Okay. The Butterfly Club. How did you came up with it? Because right on the lapel of the man's shirt is the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
How many years ago was that? Did you see that?
This was a lot of years ago, and because we were in full-time ministry and teaching, as soon as I heard this, I had asked to interview this mysterious man.
Sure.
And his story was so touching and heartwarming. It was a story of he and his daughter, Anne Marie, who had leukemia. Mm-hmm. And she died of leukemia. And he had asked one favor when she was dying, if she could let him know that she was okay. And then he told me all the things about butterflies that had entered his life. Mm-hmm. But he didn't really understand the Butterfly Club, which was amazing to me. Yeah. And I really feel that God directed it for me to write it, because I had so many stories that were part of the Butterfly Club.
Right. When did you found the Butterfly Club? Are you the founder?
No.
When did this begin?
The mystery is, and I will give that away, but the leading up to it in the book is just so emotional.
Yeah, I didn't want to give it away.
Should we?
But she's not going to give it away, so. Now, we'll go chapter 1. She's got the cutest drawings here. Welcome to the Butterfly Club. Now, if somebody's saying, scratching their head, what is it? Tell us about it.
Okay. The Butterfly Club is really something that thousands of people belong to, Jan, but they don't know it. And that's my hope, is to let them know that there is a club called the Butterfly Club. And that club is people who have experienced the perfect timing of a sign that God sends to deliver an undeniable message. And that sign, in a moment, is a sign of hope and courage that their loved one is okay. And I have seen people, my first butterfly sign that I experienced before I knew about the Butterfly Club had happened years ago, of a woman who had lost, whose 18-year-old son was struck and killed. And to see the pain this woman lived with, and her journey really for years, till she realized she couldn't go on any longer. Yeah. And she experienced this sign of a monarch butterfly. Yeah. And when she was telling me about it, I had seen her a few months after she had experienced the sign. All the darkness was gone from her face that she had had. Yeah. And when she told me about it, she said, "Phyllis, when you experience a sign, it's something that you can tell other people about, but you can't really, they can't feel it the way
Right.
you do.
Yeah.
And it just, she knew that Danny, her
She
son,
knew.
was okay.
Very
Because he
comforting.
had delivered, is that you? She knew
Yeah.
that was Danny,
And she knew.
who had delivered the sign to say, I'm okay. It's all
How did you
right."
meet all the people that are contributed to this, all your stories in here? Did they come to you, or how did you know?
A lot of the stories in the book were stories of people that I knew. Well, the Butterfly Club, the butterfly itself, the monarch story I just told about Nancy, she was part of our community for years, and we knew her son.
Right.
I mean, her son was just one of those special kids everywhere that you meet, that everyone knows them in every community. And to know that I knew, I was part of the Butterfly Club from knowing, and Nancy was, but again, I didn't really know that it existed until I started writing the book.
And had you had an experience like this?
I never had a Butterfly Club
Not yet,
experience.
right?
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Oh, I have, yes. I can't say not yet, because since the books, it's amazing, when you're saying, how do I know the stories? It's amazing, since the book's been out, how many people have shared with me.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a sign. I mean, for some people, it's a red cardinal. It can be, one woman's sign is feathers.
Yeah.
And it's something very intimate, because as I was writing the book, I can see that God chooses a sign for you, a personal sign that you will know, you will understand. Because, and again, the book to me shows God is so intimately connected in our life. And I think that's the hope and inspiration in the book, and the comfort to know how real God is, and that He does communicate with you. I mean, my 4-year-old granddaughter had asked, Grandma, can God talk to us?
Yeah.
The Butterfly Club gives you real stories of how He does, and that's what takes my breath away.
Yeah.
Someone will tell a story, or I've seen a story, and I will be, oh my goodness, only God could do that.
Yeah.
Find the perfect timing of when you need something the most.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be death, even though the Butterfly Club mostly is about a sign to tell you your loved one's okay, and from a loved one who can connect with you. But sometimes you need inspiration to go on.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need encouragement. One amusing story, I thought, was the story of a man actually getting hit in the head
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
And I find God to be so joyous and playful and every emotion you could imagine.
Yeah.
And that's the signs that are in the book that I'm hoping when people read. And another interesting thing, I think, with the book, sometimes people will hear a story and say, I did have a sign.
Yeah, and they relate.
And they relate, but they don't know that it was a sign, and they felt that, or they'll say, that was my father talking to me,
Yeah.
but I wasn't sure.
Phyllis, how could
So-
people get a hold of the Butterfly Club book?
The Butterfly Club book it's on Amazon, but it's also local if people want. There's a store in Bellingham called The Butterfly.
I hadn't heard of that. Where is this?
It's wonderful.
Where is that?
It's right across from the Bellingham Post Office
On 140?
on 140.
140. Okay, cool. So head for Franklin, right?
Right, head toward Franklin, right,
Okay.
and on the left from when you, again, almost directly across from Bellingham Post Office,
The
there's a little
Butterfly.
plaza, and it's called the Butterfly, and that store has the most beautiful everything.
So they can
All
get your book there.
crafts and the books there. They have 2 signs that are on my
Mm-hmm.
website. I have a button on the website that says Sign Stories. And so I've added every story that people have shared with me, I've added to the website. And there are beautiful stories. And the Butterfly place actually has an incredible sign that was given to them from their mother who had passed.
Wow.
So that's very interesting.
So do they have a wide variety of books there?
No, they only carry my book, but they have sea glass, they have
okay.
all beautiful
This fits right in.
handmade. And I think too, because of their butterfly signs.
And what is your website? Also, how can they go and
Okay.
look on your website?
I just want to tell you one other store. It's
Sure.
also is Terraza, and that's in Franklin, and the Marshalls, where Marshalls and Papagenos.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
another beautiful store, and they've been carrying my book.
They have that there too.
La Salette Shrine in Attleboro, and in Woonsocket, a special place. They're a beautiful Christian bookstore, and they carry my book as well.
Amazon?
And Amazon.
Amazon.
It's on Kindle.
If people wanted to reach you, maybe to have you do a presentation or a book signing, how would they reach you, Phyllis?
I'd love to. You can contact me on Facebook, Phyllis Calvey, on hotmail.com, so that would be pcalvey for my email address, pcalvey@hotmail.com, or the website, and I'd love to hear from you on the website to see if you've read some stories and could share with me, and that is www.butterflyclubbook.com.
We're talking with Phyllis Calvey, and she is the author of The Butterfly Club. Is That You? Another one, Chapter 3, The Divine Fortune Cookie. Tell us about that one.
Oh,
I love the pictures, by the way.
That's one of my most emotional stories because it's about my own father.
Yeah.
And we had done full-time care for my father. We had a care calendar. And the whole family, which was so heartwarming, everyone had a slot on the care calendar, including my daughter.
Yeah.
And
That was so smart to do because some caretakers, I had one in my family who passed out from exhaustion, wouldn't allow anybody else to take care. That was wonderful what you did.
And that is, something that was heartwarming to see all the grandchildren, the children, and, everyone just being there. So my father was a most amazing man. And when we were growing up, there was a story all of us kids remembered, and about the Good Samaritan and my father being the Good Samaritan.
Yeah.
When he was dying, of course, because I'm in ministry and he knows we pray, he would ask me to pray with him all the time. And one night, I asked him if he was afraid to die. And his lips started really quivering, and he just looked at me, and I said, "Dad, you're going to heaven."
Yeah.
But he wasn't sure. And I said, "Dad, Jesus said about the Good Samaritan." I said, "I want to read you the parable." So I read the parable of the Good Samaritan, and I said, "Dad, that's you." I said, "That is who you are." And when we were kids, the six of us knew we were following a truck. And in those days, the kids could ride in the back of a truck standing up.
Yeah.
It was hard to believe. And it was this wet, rainy day. It just all of a sudden had turned, when a storm just violently hits. And this truck was in front of us, and we never found out why, but the driver slammed his brakes on. And all the kids flew out of the back of the truck. And they were laying on the road. And we were in a station wagon, all our regular places in the station wagon. And my father stopped. And of course, this is many years ago.
Yeah.
And he saw the kids needed medical attention. And the driver said, "I can't take him to the hospital. I don't have any money." And my father said, "I'll take care of it." And all of a sudden, all the kids are coming over these bodies with blood. I just remember one of them had all his teeth knocked out, and they were all piling up in the station wagon. And
Into your station? Into your father's station?
My father's station
How
wagon.
many children were in there?
We were at least 4 from our family, and again, you didn't need seatbelts, so we put them in the back. They were on our laps. I was in the middle seat of the station
But the driver of the
wagon.
truck wouldn't need money just to bring them to an emergency room.
Well, he was hesitant if
if he get blamed.
Or I don't know exactly that part of the story.
Yeah.
Just knowing my father. So I was thinking of all these things about my father, and I told him of the story of the Good Samaritan, and then I told my father, "You are the Good Samaritan. There is no doubt you're
What did he
going
say?
to heaven." And he just grabbed my hand and he squeezed it, and I could tell his eyes just had this smile that he had that comfort.
He remembered.
There's no doubt he remembered. I reminded him of many more stories. So when he died, we were deciding all taking parts of the funeral, and I was going to do the eulogy. And I told the family, I said, "I'm going to choose the Good Samaritan to do." And I didn't tell them about the story, so I surprised them, telling the actual story and reminding them what happened. So that, the day before the funeral, was my daughter's turn, and every Monday was her turn with my mother to go to and be with my mother. And my father did not like Chinese food.
Oh, the
So
fortune cookie.
he did not like
Yeah,
Chinese
that's
food.
right. Now I remember, yeah.
My mother never got to have Chinese food because
Just because he wouldn't.
he didn't like it. But we used to take her for lunch. We'd
Yeah.
take my mother for lunch.
Yeah.
So every Monday, Jessie, my daughter,
Yeah.
would bring my mother Chinese food.
Yeah.
So the night before the funeral, she was sitting there with the bag and gave my mother her fortune cookie.
Yeah.
And that was the ritual. My mother didn't have her glasses, so she said to Jessie, "Can you read this?" Jessie opened the fortune cookie, and it read, "The Good Samaritan did not get his name from good intentions."
Yeah. Was your father sitting? He was sitting there, wasn't he?
No, he had died.
Oh, he had died just before this.
He had died. So, and I just got a chill right there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, this is how the Butterfly Club, that's how the signs work.
Yeah.
He chose something that could be connected to the Good Samaritan from a fortune cookie. That we've had Chinese food probably for 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever had a
Love it.
religious fortune cookie?
Never.
Never in our experience.
Never.
And what are the odds that Jessie, going every single week of our time, going all that time, the night of the funeral, and that I had told the family already
Yeah.
that I was doing the parable of the Good Samaritan.
Yeah.
And then that night, my father sends this message, and that was, "Is
That
that
was it.
you? Is that you, Dad?"
Is that your dad?
And he's
Yeah.
saying,
That's
I
it.
made it. I'm okay.
We're talking again with Phyllis Calvey, and she's the author of The Butterfly Club, Is That You? You could pick this up downstairs in the
Oh, yes,
Upton
it'll be
Library.
wonderful, yes.
Again, how can they connect with you if they'd like you to come and give a presentation?
So you can connect with me by connecting with my email, pcalvey@hotmail.com, on Facebook, Phyllis Calvey, or also my website, which would be nice if you could read a lot of the sign stories that people have shared with me, and that is www.butterflyclubbook.com.
And people are welcome to maybe email a story to you.
Oh, I'd
You know.
love them to. I love it when people will share a story.
All right, now we come on to
So-
another one with a little butterfly. It looks like a cocoon of a caterpillar. Is that right?
It's
Oh,
a
good.
chrysalis is a the butterfly,
Yeah.
and a cocoon is a moth.
Achieving
Which-
Flight. What was that one about?
Achieving Flight is actually the story of Anne Marie, who was the young girl who died of leukemia. And I think that story is so powerful because she was 17 when she died. in
Was she
August.
local around here?
She was in Cumberland, Rhode Island,
I know
which
Cumberland,
is
okay,
very local to us.
Yeah.
And when she was dying, her father told me that her biggest concern was that she wouldn't make her mark in life. That she was dying at 17, she was just entering her senior year in high school.
Yeah.
Achieving Flight to me is learning through Bob he gave me all her journals, everything that had happened. And when I was writing my book, I told Bob, I said, Anne Marie is alive.
Yeah.
I could feel her presence. I could feel where she was. I could feel this really safeness of her being with God.
Right.
And she became bigger than life. And really, I think if you can see the symbolism of the metamorphosis of a butterfly, that something's happening in that chrysalis that we can't see,
Right.
and a new life emerges. I really believe that's what happened to Anne Marie and what happens, that
Right.
she has a new life, a new spirit with God, and she achieved flight
Yeah.
and found a way to not only answer her father's question, let me know that you're okay,
Yeah.
but to give a name to the Butterfly Club,
Mhm.
which when Bob said those words at the funeral, he didn't know where they came from. And that to me, when I interviewed him and we talked for hours, and I said, but Bob, you said the words, the Butterfly Club.
Mm.
there's no butterfly club. And he just looked at me and he said, Phyllis, I can tell you I don't know where those words came from.
Right.
It was like they just came out of the ear. Anne-Marie whispered those words.
Those were the words, yeah.
And she founded the Butterfly Club.
And sure. That was
To-
the whole idea.
To help other parents. And just to share one, this just happened like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Bob had heard of a friend whose daughter had committed suicide, and she had overdosed. And the mother, it was a terrible situation of what happened. Sometimes the last moment of death, before someone dies, things aren't just the way they should be, and that's how this circumstance was. And the mother started drinking. She didn't want to live anymore.
Right.
So Bob gave her the book, The Butterfly Club. And a week after she started reading it, Bob texted me and said, she read this and believes in the hope and the comfort of the stories that her daughter is with God. And she said, this is making me know I have to live. I have to get over the death because my daughter's still with me. It's very...
Yeah, it's...
The Butterfly Club to me is, that's why I want it to get out, not, to
Right.
get people to read my book, but
Sure.
to feel the presence of their loved ones, and to, for me also, to keep feeling, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
these
definitely.
signs, that how they're communicating.
Phyllis, where have you
Take
been
your breath
appearing
away.
lately? Where have you been...
Let's see, I just did an author, there were 40 authors invited to the community center in, where was that? I forgot what that was.
That's a lot of authors.
Richmond, Rhode Island.
Okay.
So
yeah.
we all set up, and it was wonderful just to share
Yeah.
with people. And
Sure.
a woman who was there got the book, and she said, I had a butterfly sign from my brother.
That's great.
And that was wonderful, so people sharing that.
Have you been going to libraries and other places and doing book signings and presentations?
I haven't actually started doing that in the way that I would like to.
That'd be great. All that would really-
At the Woonsocket Library, I did an author talk,
Yeah.
and that was really wonderful. There were quite a few people who came, and I could tell some stories, like with the Divine
Sure.
Fortune cookie,
Yeah.
and really engage people with so much more than...
Yeah, exactly. We welcome all religions here on Be My Guest. And I noticed
That's
that you
wonderful.
are in the Lighthouse Ministry. What is that?
My husband and I had a lighthouse ministry for 30 years, and we taught in story and song. So my husband's a Christian musician, and we've concentrated on the scriptures because I really believe what you're saying too. God is God, and denomination is God's above
Well, this
any denomination.
This is
to
great
me.
because I
It's-
know over at it would be great to do a show with your husband doing his music, and then over at the Jewish synagogue in Westboro, they always have a cantor, but they did have a rabbi who played the guitar, and I've sat in a couple of. I worked for a family that went there, and I just enjoy. Of course, I don't know how they do it, but I absolutely loved it, and I think music connects with people no matter what religion you are.
The music, it was wonderful because his songs were all inspired and written directly from the scriptures, not with interpretation, just using the scriptures.
Yeah.
And so I would teach, something for a lot of our ministry was with confirmation students who would ask interesting questions like, why aren't the dinosaurs in the creation story? Or,
Well, that's a good question.
so I ended up writing 6 workbooks with all the questions that they asked that we finally got to the bottom of. So it was very engaging about the scriptures to get people, and we grew up Catholics, and Catholics need understanding of the scriptures, and they want it. And it's not something I think that we grew up with. I certainly did.
I know there's quite a few coffee houses that have, through the years, opened up with the different musicians from the different branches of,
Mhm.
you know, Judaism, Christianity. I have East Indian friends, and they love their music too. It's fascinating. My parents were very open, very open about religion. And that was good for me, because I can go and sit anywhere. I might not agree with all of it, but I'll find something that I'll like. That's relaxing. Yeah, I don't like my husband was raised Catholic. At any time you want to, I wasn't raised that way, but I've been to mass and it's relaxing. I can't explain it, but I find that relaxing. I think if you've got that ability to maybe think outside the box and say, take what you like and leave the rest, I think that's kind of fun, because I think everybody's got something.
I think the best part, through our work really in our study for 30 years, is to finally understand the Mass, you know, why Jesus is called the Lamb, and then through Jesus really experience God in the spiritual Jerusalem Jesus taught about. That God, and the Butterfly Club to me is kind of the journey, our own journey, to say, that's God. An intimate relationship with each person. Our kids used to always say, why can't I worship God on a mountain? Now I see why they can.
Well, Phyllis, would you be willing, we've got about 4 minutes left.
Oh.
Would you be willing to speak anywhere? I mean, it doesn't have to be a religious facility. It can be anywhere.
Oh, no, and it's mostly not religious facilities.
Do you have another book coming out, or is this going to be the one that you're really promoting?
This is the one I'm promoting. I have two more I want to write. I have a children's book I'm working on.
Oh, what's that one?
It's called Why Pine Trees Stay Green.
Why Pine Trees Stay Green?
And I love this children's story.
Yeah.
And another book I want to work on too. But right now I really want to get the Butterfly Club.
I want to get that back out.
And get people to know that they might be part of it and they don't know yet.
So if somebody would like to have Phyllis come and give a presentation and maybe do a book signing, again, how can they reach you?
So, through the email, pcalvey@hotmail.com, Facebook, Phyllis Calvey, or my website, www.butterflyclubbook.com.
And that's great. Now you're going to be, is everything coming up where people can look forward? Because this show will probably air pretty soon. So anything coming up in the future where they would look for you?
I'm going to put it on Facebook because right now I'm in the process of planning a few places to do.
Does your husband ever come and play the music along with you when you do a presentation?
He hasn't since this book's come out. We haven't.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, for 30 years we did, and then I took a sabbatical to write the book. So my husband is so part of this book.
How long did it take you to write it, Phyllis?
Oh, 2 years.
Well, it's not bad.
It isn't.
No, that's
but just to stop and work on it full time.
I bet now, people are going to be coming to you with all kinds of their stories that they can relate to what this is about. And you might have another book in the offing because of this.
That's what I'm
Butterfly Club 2.
And I'm learning so much about so much more than I knew when I wrote the book.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, too.
Thank you, Phyllis, for being on the show.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Butterfly Club, pick it up downstairs, pick it up on Amazon, and where she has told you to do it, and I think you might enjoy it. I'll see you next time and be my guest.
Thank you.